Greetings, everyone. DFG here, Gideon's Flight. Hey, guys, hope you can see me pretty clearly, but y'all know me and my video skills. They can be a little shaky at times, but it's the message that counts, right? You don't need to see this mug. But in messaging, uh, I just wanted to take a couple of minutes and just talk about a couple of things that's been on my mind, and some of it I've shared with you already, uh, but I wanted to restate a couple of things and then share, some backdrop on why I think it's important. But I want to start back with first thing. I would like to just thank a couple of my subscribers because they shared some information with me earlier today, and they were talking about the unemployment numbers as it related to what the government is reporting and what's the actual numbers as it relates to black people here in America, Hebrew Israelites. And of course, no surprising to any of us, we cannot be so far down on the economic scale that we would be less than 4% unemployment. Those numbers are pulled out of. I guess they pull them out of their ass. I don't know where the government gets those numbers from, but it's all to prop up, the Trump administration. In my particular opinion, okay, to prop up the Trump administration to make it appear that this particular president has done miraculous things inside, the community as it relates to people of color. No different than the things he's done to prop up the stock market, working with, the Federal Reserve and the other, big bankers to repurchase stock, to do some other shenanigans to make the stock market look like it's not the bubble that any sensible person now that's following economics would already understand that it's all propped up as, it's smoke and mirrors, for lack of a better, word. But I thank both of those guys again for sending me that information. Again, I don't call names out unless people give me permission to use their names. But they were also referencing Dr. Frances Cressing's book, the ISIS paper, and and she talks about a lot of racism and white supremacy here in America. Dr. Cressings died a year or so ago, but she was a phenomenal warrior and someone who dedicated her life as I'm sure she had a degree in psychology and some other things, but she wrote a great book. And not only did she write a great book, she defended that book time and time and time again, the writings in that book, against some of the most harsh critics, not only in the country, but around the world. She was very brave, very courageous. And again, it's a book well worth reading. And I guess the pleasure that I got in it was that, my two subscribers sent that information. So I like to think they read the book too, but I was proud to respond back to them that not only was I familiar with Dr. Creslin's work, but I also own her book. And I purchased that book, I want to say around 2006, somewhere back in that time, and read it several times. And as a matter of fact, me and the men of Gideon Flight all own that particular book, and we have a book club where we're reading that book. We have to get back on it. We've kind of fallen off as far as our discussions about the book, but we all own that book. And I bring that up, guys, because again, thanking them, but I also bring up the reading the book, not in any kind of way to boast or brag. I bring it up because of the importance of knowledge and understanding. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to always go to the foundational book, the book of, in my opinion, solid truths. Although I know some of the, it's been tampered with in some regard, but the core message of the book with the revelation of Yahuwah, they can't touch it. Even if they wanted to touch it, they can't touch it. Not the meaning. They can add words and take words out, but they can never change the revelation of what Yahweh wants us to see and wants us to understand. So I go to the book. All right? So I'm going to go to you, Hosea chapter, you heard me quote it before. I'm going to read it to you now. Hosea chapter 4, verse 6. Okay? All right. And it goes, here it is. Okay. I'm sorry. Took me a minute there. I was looking at chapter 5. Chapter 4, verse 6. My people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. Now, who is his people? the Hebrew Israelites. That's who he's talking to, us, so-called Negroes, black African Americans here on turtle in America. Okay? He says, my people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. Because thou hast rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee. That thou shalt have no priest to me. Seeing that thou hast forgotten the law of Yahuwah, I will also forget your children. Now think about it. This is what the Most High is telling us, is that we are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. And when that knowledge is presented to us, we reject the knowledge. And I'll give you an example. I was talking about Christianity and the origins of that word just recently. And I took the definition from the Eastern Bible Dictionary. I didn't make it up, and I was just shared in that video that, hey, look, I'm not going to call myself what the oppressor called me. I don't care if they want to try to put sugar on shit and call it something else all they want. If the oppressor used it as a derogatory or a reproach, I am not going to embrace that and apply it to myself as some term of endearment because they were criticizing me by using that name, therefore I should embrace that name. That kind of reverse psychology doesn't work for me. Now, it might work for some of you, and I respect our rights to, disagree in that regard. And ultimately, I'll tell you that if you want to apply the word Christianity to you, knowing that its origins were from people who hated you, then go for it, okay? But none of the early believers would have called themselves Christians, just for the record. That term came into place through probably came through Catholicism, or when Paul talked about the Antichrist was already here, he was probably talking about that Roman church who was applying that Roman terminology to disgrace them as followers of Yeshua. Just saying, okay? But again, where knowledge is, where there is no knowledge, there is no understanding, guys. And that's what Hosea 4:6 is trying to tell us. Now, I know I referenced Dr. Cressing's book. And I only reference that book because I'm not telling you the only book we should be reading is our foundational history book. We should be using other books as well because there are books that are related to our situation and our condition beyond what the Most High has already warned us to, but that books are information that we can share to continue to educate, to inform, and teach. This is where we don't run into these rabbit holes like when people produce a movie like the Harriet movie that's out right now, where they got all these falsehoods and all these lies and creative, taking creative leverage or whatever the hell they use, creative license, that's it, and distorted the whole story of Harriet Tubman. But if you have no backdrop of who Harriet Tubman was, you don't study, you haven't read, and you take your kids to that movie, your kids will be sitting around there believing lie and falsehood, and someday that lie and falsehood will be being applied to Harriet Tubman, and it's just flat out not true. That's called the lack of knowledge or lack of understanding. So I say that to you as a reminder again. All you're getting, you have to get understanding. That's Proverbs chapter 2, verses 1, I believe, somewhere up in there. But if you read Proverbs chapter 1, Proverbs chapter 2, you'll find that particular quote written in, again, the scripture, reminding us that, that what we should do as we get all our getting, that we should be getting an understanding of a matter. And once we get that understanding, then we should not shun that. We should not run from that. We should not try to rationalize it. We should just, utilize that for growth purposes so that we will get the scales removed from our eyes so that not only can we be better teachers, but that we can be more honorable before Yah, okay? I say that, and to give you a couple of other things, and I'm going to get through this real quick. I got a few minutes left. But when I talk about getting knowledge, getting understanding, here's some books. Now, these are books. I didn't go to the library this morning, okay? These are books of, that already I own books. This book is called Black America. And it's a photogenetic journey from past to present with many, not only pictures of some of great people throughout our histories, all right? I mean, this guy right here is Matthew Henson. Now, who is Matthew Henson? Matthew Henson planted the first American flag on the North Pole. Did you know that was a black man, so-called? And it goes on all kinds of stuff. It has Jack Johnson in here. It has Louis Armstrong, Jelly Roll Martin in here. Talks about our jazz roots. Dr. George Washington Carver, in a scientific laboratory right here, okay? And it goes on and on and on. That's one book. And then here we have another one called Least We Forget. And Least We Forget is a passage from Africa to slavery to emancipation. And there are many stories and letters, handwritten stories by different individuals, recorded individuals, like this that's in this little pocket inside of this particular book. And this letter is living in balance, and it talks about not all black people in America were born into slavery, and it gets into, which is true, by the way. But, because some of us were here arguing. Remember, I told you, the Native Americans and Hebrew Israelites, guys, are the same people. Don't let anybody tell you that these $5 Indians are the Native Americans. No, they came in, they purchased that lineage. We are those people. That's why we had the hinges around our blouses and the hinges around our skirts, our ancestors right here on Turtle Island. They're the same people. And if you go back and find ancient writings of those Native Americans, you'll see that a lot of it is written in, guess what? Hebrew or Aramaic. I think that's the right way to say that. And then, here's another book. Okay. It's called, Freedom. And Freedom, again, is another journey. On the back here, it shows that I am a man. That's when they were having the garbage strikes and things like that in Memphis and other places. But it goes through guys' picture, Jackie Robinson. It goes on. I mean, I can't begin to tell you how much information you have in here, okay? And my point is, I'm showing you these things because I want you to know I walk my talk. If I'm telling and I'm sharing information with you because of research and study and a true, genuine passion for our people, spiritually and physically, all right? And we all should possess that. I'm not unique in that way. I'm just real in that way. My convictions are my convictions. What I believe is what I believe. And as a man of Yahuwah, as most men and women are, those of us who are born through the bloodline, he has already forewarned us what will happen if we don't. Not only to us, but what will happen to our children as well. And I don't know about you, but I love my children enough to want the best life for my children. And I surely want them to walk uprightly before Yahuwah. But you cannot do that with knowledge, or you cannot do that when you reject knowledge. He said, if you reject the knowledge, he's going to reject you. Simple and plain. I don't know how I can get any simpler than that. And again, always go read it for yourself. Hosea 4 and 6. But that's the Proverbs scriptures that I talked about a little bit earlier, and many, many others. All right? In closing, another thing I want to talk about is the book. And as I said to you guys before, if you're reading the Standard King James Version or any of these standard Bibles, you are missing probably 70% of the books that were made available to us. A lot of these books were taken out because they wanted to hide the truth from you and who you were. And a lot of you guys are teaching messages out of just these 66 books, and you're challenging individuals who have knowledge of all these other books. And you're getting angry and you're getting bitter because of your what I would call it, mental laziness. Go out and find out. Go research. Don't let somebody tell you these books were canonized and these books weren't canonized. Well, who did the canonization of those books? And who gave them the authority to do it other than the Catholic Church? The Antichrist church that Paul spoke about that I mentioned to you a little bit earlier. They took it out, and they took it out hundreds of years later. It's 1611 King James Version book has an additional 14 books in it. The 1611 King James Version. But you may not have that if you have a standard Bible right now. They are hiding truth from you to keep you from having the knowledge, to keep us under the curse. That's why I refuse to call myself a Christian. I wouldn't call myself a nigger either, by the way. I don't care what kind of term of endearment it is. I know they may have called me that because of trying to hurt me or disrespect me or whatever, but I'm not using it. I have free will, and I take the free will to not apply a word that was used to disrespect my people, hundreds and hundreds of years ago. I'm not going to apply that to me. The last thing I would say, going back to these books, I'm going to read something to you. And this is 2nd Ezra. Again, you're not going to find it in your Bible, but you'll find it in the 1611 Bible. And this is what 2nd Ezra says. As for me, this is chapter 14, verse 43 and 44. As for me, I spake in the day, and I held not my tongue by night. In the 40 days they wrote 204 books. Yes, 204 books. That's what Moses was doing up there in the 40 days up there in Mount Arafat. I believe that's what it was. When he was getting that knowledge from the Most High. 204 books. And you're looking at 66 books and calling yourself a Bible expert or a knowledgeable man or woman of Yah. No, you're not. Go do your work. Don't be lazy. Get the information. And as again, in all you're getting, get an understanding. Guys, this is not preaching at you. It's love talk, but it's intelligent talk. And we need to eat the whole roll, not just a piece of it. Love you guys. Thank you for listening. Bye now.